Welcome to Date Night Podcast,
a tabletop role-playing game podcast set in the homebrew world of Volyanaya.
Let's explore a whole new world together.
Last time on Date
Lemon
Night
Pie Night.
Lemon,
Pie.
as opposed to our Vanilla Crew,
Vanilla Pie.
which was over a month ago. So just a little refresher. You guys started apart, and we had a lot of stalking around by Trixie following the dwarves as they were not sneaky or subtle
Clang, clang,
in their time in Cliffshire. You are in Cliffshire, which is a largely halfling village with a number of appraisers, auctioneers, merchants, a lot of professionals in this area. You have been to sort of all parts of the city. There's Cliff Top, which is where the auction house and the town hall and the Flying Hellhound and Myrtle Sugarfinger. I left my notes with all the
last name was Sugarfinger.
All the NPCs out
That's
in
fantastic.
the building from last time, so I might forget some of them. And then, so you've been up there. There's Cliffside, which is built into the actual side of the cliff. That's where you are right now, where we pick up. You had just been in an appraiser's office, actually a couple of appraisers' office, including, I think her name was Arabella, who Werden knew.
I believe that sounds correct.
And then Trixie also had discovered a little bit of information about the pendant that she wears, being a luck pendant.
But wouldn't sell it.
Today is the Feast of the Bells, so you have been eating well.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
We've been
sweet.
stuffed
We need to go
in
back and
the
get some more food. That's right.
And so far as the actual storyline goes, Worden has been attempting to maintain control of a mine that he has managed for many years since the passing of the old owner, Finnegan Brickfist. You have discovered that Lucius Brimwhisper has the largest share of the mine. He plans to sell it. You basically encountered, we could say, one of the potential buyers by the name of Kayman Greycastle and threatened him.
Oh, I encountered him all right.
More than threatened, I'd say, into maybe not bidding on the mine. You have sort of a tacit agreement with him that if you can keep the mine, if he stays out of the bidding, he would be more than happy to just purchase things from you at a steady rate. But he says if the mine does go up for sale, he sort of has no recourse but to continue to try and bid on it so he can make sure he can have that access. He also said it was in his best interest for you to keep it, so he would do anything he could maybe to help that happen.
Burn it.
By the end of the session, you had gone in and stolen some paperwork from the auction house that talked about the actual, what was being sold or transferred at the sale of the mine. In that paperwork, you found out that Lucius and Finnegan had a deal with each other. Then you burned the paperwork, but before you burned it, you found out that Lucius and Finnegan had a deal wherein they each got 10% of each other's earnings from the refinery or the mine, which is why Lucius still had the largest stake in the mine. But he has not sort of returned any of the funds from his refinery. He immediately had closed the refinery, and there was something that the clerk who had looked over the auction papers for you had said about if he was still using any of that equipment, it might be that he owes Finnegan's estate some money. I think that's about the pertinent details of what went on in town. Trixie was stalking you because Lucius was blackmailing her about letting out information about where she had got her pendant from, because she had showed it to kind of a shady appraiser before that who had passed the word on to Lucius.
And we established it does nothing.
It does stuff.
Yes, but it's all in the brain last.
So you had just finished getting...
I have photo proof.
I can't
What's
see
a
it.
photo?
So you had just finished getting that appraised, and
Fantasy
you had walked
photography.
back outside. It's somewhere in the afternoon of the day of the Feast of the Bells, the last day before the auction is set to occur. So what's next for you folks today?
Staying away from lemon pies.
So you're back outside. You're in Cliffside.
And we've established that the illusion house thing is like really high-powered magic, right?
Right, so Lucius is staying in... It's sort of a variant on Mordenkainen's magnificent mansion, but it's probably tied to a magic item or a scroll of some kind that lets it actually stay around for a week instead of just a day. And it seems to function similarly, that you cannot get in without an invitation. Trixie has been in there because she had been working for Lucius. It's still not really established if Lucius knows if she's kind of thrown in with you guys or not yet. It seemed like you went to the house with her and she went inside, but she didn't talk to Lucius then, right? I don't think.
Well, I think it was we were trying to deceptively get her on our side at that point in time anyway. So
Yeah.
Because Darn had actually grabbed her hand and knocked on the door. So it's still
It didn't work.
Nope.
Well, I guess we'll go back to eating.
That sounds like a plan.
Was I left inside? Because I don't remember how it ended.
No, you came out with them. You had just finished
Okay.
kind of making your rounds down here. You were talking to people about the mansion and about your magic item. Trying to look for a clue, basically, it seemed like.
We
We didn't have any clue.
Yeah. So you head back up to Clifftop. I'll say it's probably around the 2 o'clock feast as you get back up top and you hear the bell ring. You can see people are back behind the kind of the roped off area eating pies at this particular time.
Are they lemon pies?
There are a lot of lemon pies around. The judging was at 1 o'clock. So now that the judging has been completed, it appears that they're letting the rest of the untasted portions of the pie join into the feast. So anybody who's feasting.
So who won the contest?
You ask around to find a halfling who's just kind of also waiting in line to go in and get some pie. It was an upset this year. It was Melindy. She won it, and only the best tables are going to get to sample her lemon pie, but all of the others I'm sure are tasty as well, and I'm really looking forward to getting in there and having a slice.
Isn't it a shame when things just suddenly go wrong out of nowhere? She's probably sleeping with the mayor. I just keep going.
He's just like follows. Why are you cutting me in line? When you get in, you drop a couple silver to get in for the feast, and you see Kayman sitting with a young human girl at one of the tables with the guard who was in the room with him before, the servant who had the long sword at his belt, and he waves to the three of you, I guess, if you're going with them too, Trixie?
Sure.
Okay. And he waves to the three of you to come and sit down across from him.
Let's go and sit down across from him.
I guess.
Okay.
You hear the wood.
You sit down around the same time that the pies are being brought out here. And
I hate
the
you.
the waiter comes over
I'm having flashbacks.
with the pie, and he says, Lord Greycastle, we have brought you slices for your table of the winning lemon pie. This was made by Melindy, and I don't have my notes at what her last name was. Thornburger Hill.
Thornburger.
Listen back to whatever other episode that was. It's
The NPC telling you to listen to Date Night.
It was very tasty, according to the mayor, so I hope you will enjoy it. And you see the the young lady who's sitting at the table just kind of looking around at some of the other tables, and she says, "Father, do you have to conduct business on the feast day today?" And he just kind of says, looks over toward her, and he says, "I will be very brief, dear."
What, don't you like food?
Who are you talking to?
Her, obviously. Who else would I be talking to?
Obviously.
Yes, I do like food. Father, would it be all right if I went to one of the other tables?
You take 3d10 burn damage.
And he looks around and sees her kind of glancing over at a table that he says, "Do you mean the table with the handsome half-elf?"
You want me to kill him?
Maybe. Just first, let's share a pie. Yes, dear. Go ahead and sit wherever you'd like. And Trixie, you notice this is the little lady who's about 15 years old, whose purse you tried to steal in the previous.
I have no idea what
episode.
you're talking about.
And she goes and moves to one of the other tables and sits down.
She can't take the pie. Because that's her this table.
Which she didn't.
Okay, good.
There's plenty of pie here.
I'm going to slide the pie
And
over.
this pie is much better than the pies you sampled in Myrtle's house. So, Kayman says, "Have you been enjoying the feast today?" Ask a stupid question. Listen, after we had our friendly conversation the other day,
Dwarven persuasion.
I had a team begin looking into the paperwork associated with the mine. So I had already hired them before we spoke, just to watch all my corners in case you failed to prevent the sale. Not that I don't have the utmost faith in your ability to plan.
Oh, you should.
I have noticed, though, it seems there was some goings-on at the auction house, and those papers are no longer there. I take it you had nothing to do with that.
Nothing at all.
Okay. It did seem too subtle for you anyway, Werden. Listen, I think I have some news based on the papers that my team has examined that may help you keep the mine, if that's suitable.
Well, yes.
And he snaps his fingers, and his servant pulls out a scroll and hands it over to Kayman. Kayman says, "Of course, this is just a formality before I tell you. I do have some papers for you to sign." And he pushes them in front of you. He opens the scroll and sets it down in front of your, next to your piece of lemon pie. And he says, "This paperwork."
Where's that little halfling lawyer guy?
This sets the rate on copper in our transactions for the next 5 years at 90% of today's value, and gives me the right of first refusal on all raw and refined shipments coming from your mine. Then the price is to be renegotiated each 5 years at no more than 90% of fair market value. See, the papers here just give me a steady price and you a steady buyer. Assurances for both of us.
I'm going to read the paper word for word.
Okay.
All the way through.
Okay.
Twice.
And once again, me being a man of the temple and whatnot, I'd like to give that a shot as well.
Okay. So the two dwarves lean over the paper, licking lemon off of their fingers.
And somehow clanging their helmets together.
And reading through. It's actually not really written in extremely legalese language. It does look kind of straightforward. And it does.
Copper mine.
You could go ahead and roll. Let Werden roll at advantage with the two of you looking. Just a
Boilerplate.
history check.
And if you need me to look at it, then I'm
Natural 20!
Okay.
Oh, well. Never
You think
mind.
it's exactly what Kayman says it is. It sets the price at today's going rate, 90% of today's going rate for copper. And and it says it will be reassessed at the going rate in 5 years.
I'm going to keep that one right over here.
Yeah, you keep that dice close.
Okay, I guess all I need is a pen.
Yes, and the servant hands you a quill and a little portable inkwell.
All right, I'll go ahead and sign it.
Okay. After you
Make a
sign it,
dexterity check.
he just
Make a penmanship check.
hands it over to the servant, who rolls it up, puts it in a small tube, and puts it on his belt with some other papers that it seems like he's carrying. And Kayman says, "All right, then. My team found something very interesting on that paperwork that, again, I'm sure you haven't seen yet."
Oh, no.
Do I have to roll an expression check?
No, you have a big helmet on. You're fine.
Oh, good.
And a beard.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, but Lucius owed Finnegan quite a bit of coin. You see, Lucius closed his refinery to circumvent the shares that he owed Finnegan. But I've actually had some people up to inspect the refinery. I was thinking of maybe making Lucius an offer on it while he was here in town. And the equipment there definitely has the marks associated with their joint venture, meaning that there's been years where Lucius' past debts have not been paid, and the paperwork at the auction house proves it.
Well, there is no paperwork at the auction house.
Well, the paperwork that was formerly at the auction house proves it.
But didn't... No, never mind.
Didn't what?
Didn't somebody burn that? I
All I know it's gone is missing. Not that it was burned.
Oh.
It wasn't burned.
Speaking Dwarvish.
I just go back to eating pie.
Now, to collect those funds from Lucius obviously would not be easy to do. He's probably not that liquid. He seems to me like a man
Seems
who
very corporeal.
burns through money very quickly. However, if
I like howevers.
someone were to purchase the mine at auction, all that money would be in one place, being as he's the one selling it. You understand? I assume if someone, I should say, were to show that paperwork to the local authorities,
Or not.
when Lucius sells the mine and
Quick, grab the ashes.
the funds are all accessible,
I cast mending. I don't even have that spell.
well, there was something interesting about the deal, Warden, that Finnegan signed with Lucius. The money wasn't supposed to go to Finnegan's heirs, but to what he called mining operations, care of the mine manager. That's you, and it's quite a hefty sum.
How hefty?
Congratulations, you're rich.
How hefty?
What about
Hefty,
the mine
hefty,
manager's
hefty.
longtime friend?
Oh, you know I take care of my friends.
Sorry.
It's more than the mine stands to sell for?
Kind of kicking ourselves in the arse now, aren't we?
Hey.
I wonder what you could do with that money, Warden.
Oh, I could do a whole lot with that money.
None of it temple approved.
I never took the oath.
He said last time he knows a lot about assholes.
Is there any place that might have a copy of that paperwork?
Well, that was a copy of the paperwork.
Ah. Yes, that was in character.
Time for cleanup crew.
That's a whole different one-off, lass. I don't have the accent on me today.
Or the douchiness.
Ironically, the heir is recovering the paperwork.
Back to this one.
So I guess we need a copy of the paperwork.
Or the original of the paperwork.
Yeah, well,
Also known as the paperwork.
do you happen to have a copy or know where we can get one?
I imagine Lucius will bring the copy back to the original or another copy back to the auction house on the day of the sale as a replacement for the one that's gone missing.
So today we feast.
Huh?
I said, so today we feast.
In the meantime, I would think the other half of the evidence would be something that shows what we saw during our inspection, the fact that the tools at the refinery are ones that were co-owned by Lucius and Finnegan.
Quick, lass, invent a camcorder.
Fantasy photography. I just said that.
Wrong short one.
Okay.
Sorry, we tend to go off the rails a little
A
bit.
little bit.
Sorry.
It was about 5 minutes and a half hour. So that's something I have that I could...
Go back. He has the evidence of the... Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. And I could let you have that evidence if we were to continue to make a deal. You see, the mine is going to sell, whether that paperwork is gone or not. And it's either going to sell to me, or it's going to sell to Aloysius Fennig-Thumb. Now,
Who?
I have no want of responsibilities and headaches of running a mine, hiring and training new men, waiting 2 years to see a profit or a steady stream of ore. I'd rather you run it efficiently and sell me the ore at our arranged discount. Aloysius, on the other hand, has a string of men ready to work. I plan to bid on the mine, and I plan to win. I'll put up the gold on the spot. My name is good enough, even if I don't have it all there on hand. And that will go to you instead of Lucius, with the evidence that will be there in the auction house. And then I'll sell you back the mine at fair auction value. Now, for this to happen, to be sure that I'm the one who wins the mine...
We get him.
Well, maybe he's delayed, but you seem to have the idea. He's gone, actually, to inspect the refinery. He's due to be back late this evening and attend the auction tomorrow. But if something were to, I don't know, delay him on the road, I don't guess he would have a chance to bid on the auction, would he? You delay him, I win the mine, we both win.
Can we get that in writing?
I don't think you want your sneaky, underhanded deals put in writing.
No, I don't mean that. Don't mean the killing part.
I could draw up something about being willing to sell you the mine at fair auction value whenever you had the money.
That's the guy kind of thing.
Whenever you had the money, you'd be able to purchase it from me, and you should have the money tomorrow, by my reckoning. Yes?
Yes.
And he just says, draw it up.
Dern snaps his fingers.
More lemon pie.
Yeah, so you
Not
keep
too.
enjoying your pie while very methodically Kayman's servant pulls
Eating
out
your
some
pie.
paper, his quill, and ink, and writes a very brief document. Kayman seals it just as kind of like not a seal, but kind of like a signature with his signet ring. And it says on it, Kayman Greycastle agrees to sell Werden Shieldbreaker full control and ownership of the mine at fair auction price whenever Werden has funds enough to purchase it at said price.
I just wrote down in my inventory scroll of selling.
Okay. And he signs it beside where he kind of impressed his ring there and hands it to you.
All right, then.
Okay. So we're understood, like, it benefits neither of us if, Aloysius makes it here.
Oh, aye.
He travels with protection, just be aware. There's a few thugs who he's hired who are locals that are following him around, but he's always also got a man, they just call him Red, who travels with him, and he's pretty capable with a sword, so watch your step. And now, finally, for the first time at the table, Kayman dips his fork into his piece of lemon pie and begins eating it. And,
Oh, we have forks. All right, now, I don't think we should kill him. The laws of the lady are pretty strict. Fuzzier on kneecaps, however.
So, do we know where he's coming from?
You would know. If he's coming from Lucius's refinery, you have a good idea where that is. It's really not that far outside of town. It's less than a day's travel by, kind of horse or something like that. If you were to walk, it would be a little bit of a trek to hoof it.
You have a cart. Do you have horses?
Aye.
Let's do that then.
Well, I think we should figure out what's next for their feast.
Do we have time?
I don't know.
I don't think we have time. We should
All
probably
right.
see to business. The auction's tomorrow. Right?
Fine.
I'm not... Okay,
Yes.
yeah, the auction's tomorrow.
Fine.
At 8.
Okay. So, is there anything you're doing before you head out, or is that the plan, is to kind of head to the road that's between here and...
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
Lasso, you're coming?
During all this, I've been watching the daughter and the half elf, and what has she been doing?
Roll an insight check.
Roll a stalker check.
18.
She's
Roll stranger danger.
laughing way too often. Her cheeks are kind of red. She's not touched the pie in front of her at all. And the elf has very little interest, seemingly the half-elf.
And the pie or the girl?
No, there's a lot of interest in the pie,
Okay.
I think everyone has love.
which is maybe more interest than in the girl.
I cast my sneaky mage hand. It's
Okay.
pronounced ledger domain or something.
Yeah.
And I kind of slide the pie a little bit, and I see if she notices.
Okay. Roll
What
a
was that?
sleight of hand check.
Nat 20.
Lass, I'll get you
Oh.
pie if you want pie. All you gotta do is this.
No, she's very focused on the...
Pie me.
I wait till she puts her elbows on the table or something, and then I flip it up at her.
The pie?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, he
now
starts
gone to
talking to somebody across from him,
Three Stooges.
and he's like a little quiet, so she's like leaning in to make sure that she can hear it and puts her head in her hand a little bit. And
Not necessarily I'm putting it where she's putting her elbow, but when she puts her elbow down, that it's close enough that it flips it.
like she hit it with her elbow.
Yes.
Okay, I guess for that, just roll a dex check at advantage for it being invisible, or sleight of hand would work too.
Not nat 20.
Okay, yeah, it definitely looks like as she goes like this, the plate flips up and just lands all over her dress. And
What a waste.
he
You gonna eat that?
and she's just mortified as you go by. She passes you the smushed pie on the plate, turns back around, and kind of sits back beside her father where her coat is still on the back of the chair, and she just puts it over her lap. I'm tired
still
of
good.
being here, Father. Can I go back to the Hellhound?
Trixie's just giggling.
All right, and I guess you guys can continue on.
Yep.
Aye.
Okay.
Yes.
3
as you
hours
do-
later, you're at the bottom of the mountain.
You take the stairs down or the elevator?
Elevator. I'm just
The
gonna
inside
close
elevator?
my eyes.
No, there's no inside elevator.
Oh, there's an elevator in the Hellhound.
You take the elevator down, and when you get to the bottom, roll a perception check, please.
12.
13.
18.
Okay, Dern. As you get to the bottom, you notice that one of the Kenku, after you start walking toward hillside, where the harbor is and where Worden's cart is, you see one of the Kenku is about 2 blocks behind you, seemingly tailing you through the street.
Let's see. Subtlety or direct conflict?
Whatever
Subtlety. Hey, you fuckstick!
Explicit.
Come here, that's a birthday. I get two.
As soon as you seem to notice him and
I thought I got 2. Okay, never mind.
turn around,
I'll take the other one.
he you get 2 for rated R. He breaks off toward the side and tries to go down an alley.
I don't chase. I'm just like, that's an 8.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Mike, and you're listening to the Date Night Podcast. If you're interested in our homebrew content, such as class and race options or other unique things about the show, you can check that out from our Friendly Neighborhood Game Moms Dungeon Master Guild page. So some of them are free, some of them are pay what you want, and others are just a few dollars and are used to they really do help us out. You can find all of these by going to our website, d8nightpodcast.com, and clicking on the store tab, or by going to dmsguild.com and searching for Will Mayer. Now, I've seen some of Will's content. Actually, I've seen it all. But the titles are Path of the Fury for the Barbarian, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Rules for Building Your Own Homunculus, which is just horrifying, Bloodlines, A Guide to New Playable Races, Backgrounds and Feats, and Crinkle Firetouch's Guide for the Homebrew Magic Items made specifically for this campaign. Speaking of that campaign, let's get back to it and hear what's in store next for our characters.
So you make it to Harborside. You find Worden's cart. You locate the couple of horses that you had stabled nearby at one of the places where you had rented stables for them. So you've got your 2 horses. You bring them back up to the wagon, and you start out on the road toward the west, toward where Lucius Refinery is. There's just a small town out that way that you've been to before. Unfortunately, a couple of times you have had to oversee shipments of ore to that refinery when your customers had chosen to have it directly sent there and have him process it for you. So you have been in the city before. I don't know if you've actually been inside the refinery. So you head out, just keeping an eye out on the road for kind of anybody coming the other way, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, coming the other way, heavily guarded.
Yeah. So you move along till it starts to become maybe around 5 o'clock in the evening, around dinner time or so, and you see
We could have had another feast.
probably what is your goal. There's this very kind of overly dressed old man who's riding on basically like a white stallion with a lot of trappings around the outside of it. He's got a rapier in his belt and kind of a very well-kept white beard and long hair and
His
a
beard's
braid.
not nearly as good.
And beside him on a couple of kind of, I guess, beat-up horses, ragged horses, are just 2 poorly dressed thugs with, like, clubs in their belts. They look strong but stupid. And then riding right on the right hand of the lord, it seems like here is this beefy-looking guy on kind of like a war horse. He's got a long sword in his back and a short sword on his belt, flaming red hair, kind of balding a little bit in the middle, but still long and hanging down over his shoulders with just a mustache. And they are coming along the road. It's kind of a downhill toward your direction, seemingly in a pretty empty spot. You have passed a few people on your way, maybe every half hour or so. You've passed a party of people going the other direction. And you've overtaken a couple who were walking west.
Would I recognize him?
Probably not. They're all humans. You could
So they
roll,
all just look alike to me?
You could roll a history check. See if you know who this fella is.
They all look alike.
16.
He's probably not super important enough that you would have heard of him. He does have a lot of money, but
I thought Lucius was the guy in the house, the mansion.
this isn't Lucius.
Oh. Well then.
This is Aloysius.
Oh.
Fennec Thumb, you think.
Aloysius, Shanti Aloysius.
So, I vote we just keep riding by them so they don't suspect anything and attack them from the back.
Or maybe we try to get them to think that there's an accident down the road and the road is closed. Let's go ahead and camp tonight, give them time to clean it up.
Deception.
Right.
Dwarven deception.
My strong suit, clearly.
Oh, mine too.
Oh,
My strong suit too, but that's kind of one of my lower.
I was being sarcastic.
So was I.
Okay.
It's supposed to be my strong suit, but my charisma's a little iffy.
Well, I still think you should probably talk.
Okay. They're coming your direction. They're about 80 feet out. Closing quick because you're trotting along on horses.
Kind of elbow.
A little stumpy elbow.
You can see
Covered
as
in
they
pie.
start to approach you that they kind of Red kind of moves into the front. One of the thugs kind of moves between you and the Lord, and the other one kind of stays behind him, and they go over to that side of the road where like they're almost boxing him in a little bit as they move.
I have a point to this. What kind of landscape is it around? Some hillsides, trees, or what?
Yeah, there are some trees. There's like you've passed a few streams and things along the way, and kind of like just copses of little trees, but there's
So not
no,
really
like,
many
big
hills?
Forest. Yeah, they're coming down a pretty good grade in your direction right now.
Oh, hi. There's been a landslide up ahead. You need to wait here until they can clean it.
Are you addressing any one of them in particular when you say it? Or?
The group in general.
Okay. So you kind of trot ahead of the two of them, come up, kind of just stop your horse beside them or turn it to keep pace. And the guy in the front doesn't even really look at you too much. But the other guy looks over toward the Lord, and they kind of stop their horses for a second.
A tree's been knocked down and it's crossed the road.
It's a healthy tree, too.
I'm sure we could go around some tree across the road. We
It's
don't
not
have
just
a wagon.
a tree, it's
or
also a landslide.
nothing. How'd you get through with the wagon?
I was coming the other way, and then we had to come back.
All right. Roll a deception check.
24.
Yes!
Right. So, boss, this little bird says there's a problem.
Little bird told me.
Problem on the road ahead, and you just hear,
Yes, the old man voice.
there's a problem on the road ahead. Oh. Well, how big of a problem? How big of a problem?
The road is fully blocked. We're heading back to find a place to camp.
It's fully blocked. Oh. We don't have a wagon. We'll make it across just fine.
Not if the road is fully blocked. There's a landslide and trees are knocked down. They have to clear it from both sides. It's so blocked.
Okay, this time roll. They believe you that there's a landslide, so roll a persuasion check with the Lord.
17.
Okay,
Roll low.
I already rolled. We need to get back. I'm planning on bidding on this refinery and the mine.
Oh, for the auction?
They say it should be cleared by then. Probably best just to camp here for the night.
Yes, that's why we've got this wagon. We're bringing stuff to the auction too.
Maybe we should continue on at least as far as the landslide. We could get that far and camp there for the evening. I hate camping.
I look over at them.
I mean, they're going to need room to work. We'll be happy to stay here with you. You can stay here with our wagon. It's nice and safe. I'm the worst goddamn paladin ever.
Aren't you
Red.
having an existential crisis anyways?
No,
Yes,
I'm
yes.
past that. I'm
Kinda.
just the worst paladin ever now.
He met me.
You can see Red's horse a little bit, just kind of patting the ground a little bit. And he's like, thanks for the offer. We don't really need your protection.
I would like to sleep in a wagon instead of on the ground, though.
I mean, come on, it's a priest and a paladin. I mean, how much safer can you be?
I don't... Look, Red, we could stay... How far ahead is the landslide? Is it far?
Maybe a mile or so?
See, a mile isn't gonna save us any time in the morning. I'm tired. We rode all day to the refinery.
Look, you're in charge.
Or the boss.
I'm sure we'll be fine here.
Huh?
What do you
Why
guys have in
don't-
the back of the wagon, anyhow?
Why don't
This is a bunch of my
you,
stuff from the...
some of you whippersnappers, go around and fetch us up some fags for a fire?
Explicit.
No.
Dern just kind of looks at the two thugs like, yeah, you heard the man.
Right, how come we've got... You can give us a hand then, right? Getting something for the fire.
I mean, he's your boss.
Just go and get something to keep us. We gotta cook something for dinner, don't we? You. Just go get some. You. Start unpacking me bag. And Red, help me down.
So you see him start to seem like they're going to set up a camp a little bit. Red does step beside the old lord and kind of... It seems like he's really light and just kind of wispy. He just kind of grabs him and puts him down on the ground. And the other guy's unpacking some stuff from the saddlebags,
We'll
some
start
pots.
making a bed in the back of the wagon.
Would it be all right if I stayed in your wagon?
Oh, I'm gonna make a nice place for you to sleep.
We prefer it.
There's not an inn between here and the city, and I don't think we'd get back until probably near midnight. It's been a long ride.
So, again, the one thug kind of goes off into the... It's just like a stand of basically like evergreen trees, and he kind of disappears back in there a little bit.
Are they green?
Yes.
Evergreen?
They are. And the other one just pulls out some pots and starts pouring some water from his water skin into one of them, and just seemingly like he's going to start preparing some food as soon as the fire's ready to go. He kicks a kind of an area off the side of the road around, pats it down a little bit, so he's got a spot ready, and just starts grabbing some small stuff that he might be able to start it with, some kindling and things.
Hey, let's make camp.
Can I turn the wagon around to face the direction we came?
The way you came from?
Yeah,
Okay.
To make it so that it's like we're going to be heading back that way in the morning.
correct.
All right. Yeah, so you turn it around, pull it off the road, probably a little ways near where they're kind of setting up a camp, kind of in this small clearing. He pulls this... Red pulls, like, off of the saddlebags of his horse, like this portable folding type chair almost. It's like a stool, and it just kind of pops out, like if you've ever seen those old, like, canes that almost turn into like a little stool. It's not much more than one of those things. And he hands it to the old man, who just kind of sits in it near where the fire's being built.
You're more than welcome to join us for a bite, if you'd like, for your courtesy.
Oh, that's very kind.
Never turn down free food.
Aye.
All right.
Or any food.
And Red's pretty quiet. Eventually, the thug comes back from the woods with kind of a handful of sticks, an armful of them. Comes over, puts them in the fire. They start putting it together and start it. They argue with each other a lot throughout the course of the task of putting the fire together. Like,
No, you idiot, of course. You've got to put the
It's
thing
gotta be a
in
teepee. Teepee.
So every idiot knows it's a teepee.
and the other guy's like,
No, you always make a square. A square makes a nice, even fire. Teepee.
and they keep moving each other's wood around,
Takes
and
about an hour
eventually
to build
there's
a
like
fire.
a square teepee in the fire pit, and they get it lit. And the whole time they're arguing, the old man is kind of nodding off a little bit in his chair. You see as he's just kind of looking around. He's got a little book and like a set of spectacles on the ends of his nose that he's sort of reading, and Red is just kind of quietly sitting, again, kind of just off to his right side on the ground with his kind of just on one knee almost, sharpening his short sword.
Weird flex, but okay.
And they cook up some food, starts throwing some stuff over the fire in the pots and things, and eventually put together some kind of like a soup.
I have
It's
a-
just boiling there for a little while.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
When we were talking about sleep, you said that there is a homebrew version that we could have done, but I forgot what it was by the time I started writing the cards. Do you remember
We were
what that
talking
was?
about maybe using sleep with a wisdom save instead
Okay.
of rolling a hit points thing.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. And that I can target just one person.
You'd have to with that version.
Okay.
So, doing anything or just waiting around?
So since the red guy is sharpening his short sword, I'm just going to take out my hammer and buff it up.
Okay.
That's nice and shiny.
Thank you.
That's good.
Would you like the cloth?
Oh, thank you. I'll do the same.
You do see Red, not very, I guess, coyly or anything, just directly looking over, like he's sizing you guys up a lot of the time.
Well,
when
we
you're
are
there.
short.
Yeah, especially when you pull out your hammer and start buffing it. He doesn't sharpen his sword for long. He puts it back away. He just kind of sits there, kind of sits back, puts his knees up a little bit, just kind of looking around at the road, seeing if anybody's coming, but just kind of chill. The other two guys are now arguing about how to cook the soup. Like,
Got to put the carrots in first.
No, the carrots always, they get mushy if you put them in too early. You put the taters in first, because if you don't, then the taters are too crunchy, and nobody likes crunchy taters in the soup. Then it's not even a soup anymore, Terry.
Don't you know you're supposed to put the carrots in first and then the potatoes, because then the potatoes will become mushy.
You see, Lyle, she knows. You put the carrots... You said that, right? The carrots first.
carrots
She
first.
agrees with me.
Oh, I think it's the taters.
Wonder,
we
wonder
having
how much
soup
prodding we have to do
again?
before they kill each other.
so
Now Lyle's like, see, hates the taters.
they argue about the soup, but eventually the soup's ready, and
Aren't the potatoes mushy?
there's no potatoes in the soup. They forgot to put them in all of the argument, so it's just kind of carrots and meat. But it's all right. When you share some soup, it starts to get a little dark. Aloysius asked if it would be all right if he goes and holds up in your wagon.
Oh, by all means.
Okay. Red helps him up there, and Red just kind of sits on the kind of the back open part of the wagon, lights a pipe. His legs just kind of dangle off the back toward the ground.
So, Red, have you all been traveling all day?
We have.
You must be pretty worn out from all that. A lot of riding.
I'm used to riding.
Aye. Well, if you don't mind, excuse me. If you want, we can take first watch. You get some rest from the weary day.
Well, you can take all the watches you'd like, or we'll be rotating ours too. A couple extra sets of eyes.
Oh,
Not a bad idea
not a
in
bad
these
idea.
parts.
Sure, absolutely.
And he just kind of goes back to smoking his pipe, even though you're standing there, kind of not looking in your direction while he's talking to you.
That's just rude.
Say it loud enough for him to hear it.
So he sits on the back of the wagon. It gets to be about, it's not super late, but, you know, Lord Fennig Thumb turns in a little bit early these days, so he's turned in for that.
It's 5:30.
Yeah. It's pretty early.
When it does get to be about sleepy time, I don't know what else to call it because I'm a father of 2 children now. I'll turn to one of the idiots and say, "All right, you and me first watch, eh?"
Gotta run that by old Red.
I ain't.
Yeah,
Christ's sakes, man just tries to...
yeah, look, you want me and
There is such a thing as
Tumbly
holding
over
too
here to
high
take
the
the
hierarchy.
first watch? The shiny Tumbly. The shinier Tumbly.
Aye.
It's like he's on the phone.
I was wondering.
You can't hear
No,
Red.
it
He's real quiet. The other guy's real loud. All right. I'll wake you up soon. Fine. Okay. So, yeah. So, how do you guys have tents and stuff set up, or what's going on?
Aye.
yeah.
Okay, so you guys all have that kind of equipment. I take it's just your normal bag. So you set up a camp, a couple of tents around. You see a couple people actually in a little while, right around before sundown comes. You see a wagon start going by where you are.
From which direction?
Yeah, that's what I'm rolling for.
Oh, shit.
From the direction where you said the landslide was. So as they go by and the wagon starts rattling, Red
Chase it.
kind of tries to intercept them there on the road and just starts talking to them. So you see him over on the road. The one thug is already inside a tent, and the other guy's just kind of sitting where Red was originally on the back of the wagon, just kind of looking out.
Oh, they've cleared the roadblock
Well, I
already,
guess
have they?
He'd be more, because Red was on the wagon, they wouldn't have wanted to sit together. He'd be more on, like, near the road, just kind of
Within telephone distance.
standing around. Yeah. But you see Red break off and go. The road's like maybe 50 or 60 feet from where you set up your camp. You just kind of went off to the side in a clearing. And Red's going out to talk to the people in the wagon.
And I followed after and I said, "Oh, the road's clear, is it? Clear now."
You're following Red?
Yes, and I asked them if the road is clear now.
All right, so you get up there, and it's just one kind of fella. He's in kind of thin clothes. He looks like he's a little bit cold in the evening. And he says, What do you mean the road's open?
Oh, it was blocked earlier. We had to turn back.
Road blocked.
Yeah, they
Where?
must have... A couple miles down.
Oh, well, no, it's all clear now.
Oh, good. Good, then we can leave early in the morning then.
I guess if that's what...
I said that to Red. Sorry.
Oh, okay. And Red says to the fella, wait there a second. You hungry, fella? And the guy says, yeah. Hold on. And he starts walking back to the camp.
I'm assuming we're all still awake at this point.
I don't know. It would be close to like when you're talking about taking the watches, but Red hadn't gone in for the watch yet. So yeah, I think you'd still probably be around the fire.
Okay.
So you see Red start coming back from the wagon. Just walks over to where the pot is on the campfire. Fishes out a little bit of soup into like a wood bowl and starts carrying it back
I'd like
over
to,
the
before
road.
as he bends over the pot,
Mm-hmm.
just going to push him in.
All right.
Rolling it.
Go ahead and roll just to see if you get kind of a surprise on him.
Okay.
Or if we're going to roll initiative to see how that
This
goes.
is just like a straight D20?
So this would be a stealth check, I guess.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Okay.
Are you in
Oh, God.
armor that gives you disadvantage on stealth checks?
It's a 2.
Okay. So he's probably going to see that. Yeah, that's not a 1. So
Can I try like a deception, like just looking into the pot, seeing what's left?
you could, but as soon as you get up, basically, he kind of gives you
get
a
up,
over-the-shoulder look, like he's aware, and
I didn't see any potatoes either.
yeah, no potatoes. And he spoons it into the bowl and starts walking toward the road, unless you do anything else.
Fuck it, I'm pushing him.
You're still going to push him now. We will roll initiative as he turns around with the bowl of hot soup.
Okay.
20. I like this.
And then I got to figure out where exactly everybody is. So this is the camp. This is the steeple. Open the wagon, and there's the old people.
And murder all the people.
And I don't have any fun advantage on, what's it called?
Initiative.
That investigation, inspiration.
The road. The other cart. The thug who was near the road. Werden. Trixie is near the cart. The
Not the wagon, the cart.
red is by the fire.
And soon we'll be in the fire.
Dern is trying to push red toward the fire. And I think that... Oh, yeah. The Lord is in the cart. All right. This is red and the others are thugs.
Low.
All right. I'll go ahead and get your initiatives first. Dern.
8.
Werden.
20.
Whoa. Trix.
I rolled a 10.
Plus anything? That's with the pluses?
Yeah.
Well, technically, with the pluses, I have more than that. I have 21.
Oh.
You got to include that.
Low.
Oh, I need the stats out so I know exactly where they fall.
It's low.
It's low. Low. 7s or lower.
What page is this on?
We do have a copy machine, you know.
I wasn't thinking you were going to ride away with the wagon. I thought you were just going to push it like down a hill or something. Like Bonnie and Clyde, just flipping explosions.
No, I wanted to face it towards the town, so that way, when everyone fell asleep, we
they
just
get
get on the
plus
horses and start driving.
Why do we want him to go closer to town, though? We want him away from town.
I know that.
I
But
could have put
no way.
I could have put Red to sleep, and then I've got silent image so that when he woke up, he'd look and see that the wagon was still sitting there.
I'm pretty sure he's going before you, lass.
All right,
Well,
Warden,
at this point, it's too late.
you're sitting.
Just try to push him.
You're sitting kind of at. If Dern is at
I didn't know I'd
5
fail the soup
o'clock
check.
in your camp, like the fire's in the middle of the clock, and you've got a circular camp around it. There's a thug in the tent who's not really like asleep or anything yet. He's just kind of trying to get ready, and he's been bringing stuff in and out near the fire. It looks like he's still chowing down. He's at 12 o'clock. You're at about 3, and you see Dern stand up as Red turns around with this bowl of soup, and you are sure Dern's about to just rush him.
We hope you've enjoyed our date night together. Remember, you can really help us out by subscribing, rating, and reviewing on whatever platform you use to listen to us. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again in 1 week.